Are you searching for a deeper understanding of your faith?
Inspiring Philosophy is your go-to resource for exploring the rich tapestry of Christian thought.
From biblical archaeology to philosophy of mind, we dive into the topics that matter.
Our content bridges faith and understanding, offering insights into God's existence and the reliability of the New Testament.
Join a community where faith meets reason and discover the answers you've been seeking.
Inspiring Philosophy, where faith meets understanding.
Yo, yo,
What's
yo.
up? What's up? What's up? What's up? How are y'all guys doing? Yo, I'm going to be taking over the stream for a little bit here, but there's lots of things going on in tonight's stream. First and foremost, we want to address our guest, our amazing, our very handsome, our very intelligent Atheist Brooks. Welcome.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate just how majestic he looks? Look at
For those of you who don't,
goes off the
sorry.
chin, everything, man.
Oh yeah, he's mogging. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Matt Matias. I'm actually the assistant director of Inspiring Philosophy. Michael is on a vacation to Jamaica right now, and while he's away, we're just gonna goof off and do some crazy stuff. But we figured, why not bring one of our good friends, Atheist Brooks, on the live stream to do some reactions, to hang out, and also witness Stan do something insane, which we won't get into quite yet. But anyways, how you guys doing? How's it going, Atheist Brooks?
Amazing. I've got to say, I'm very honored to be here. Many people don't know this, but I watched Inspiring Philosophy before I made any apologetics content. Now I'm almost at 1 million followers across platforms. So I think it's pretty incredible, and it's an honor to be here. I want to say I'm not the best or smartest apologist, but I try to be far-reaching. I want to make my communication as clear as possible, give some good analogies, and defend the gospel.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Awesome.
You do a really
you-
good job, by the way, at what you do. Like,
Thanks. I appreciate
you
it.
say far-reaching, and I think that you nail the far-reaching thing really well. Like, I'm really impressed by the stuff that you do and how you articulate it for people to actually grasp all the topics that you talk about.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I first saw you on TikTok. Okay, I gotta ask. You say, all right, let's see it. But were you the first one, or was Dan the first one? I need to know. Who said that first?
Dan McClellan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually don't know. I'm trying to remember it. I will have to say I was not consciously stealing it. I need to look back. I'm guessing he said it first. I think he started before me, but I never was like, oh, I should start doing that too. I think I just fell
Yeah.
upon it and it worked. What I think happened was I said it in a video and it went viral, so I just kept it. So I don't know. Maybe I am stealing it. That's what you get, Dan.
Who cares? I think you do it better. How about that?
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the better Dan.
You are.
Dan, how you feeling today, bro?
I'm good, man. My neck still hurts.
Oh man.
For
Well-
people, I think some people know. I had like a grade 1 or 2, somewhere in between, like cervical strain.
Wow.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, it really sucked. I couldn't sleep for like 2 days in a row. It was rough.
Yeah,
Still
I know
hurts.
you messed up your neck, but I didn't know it was that bad, bro. Jeez.
Yeah, it sucked, man.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, I don't have control over the super chats and stuff like that, so that's gonna have to be on you. We've got a couple here. Why don't we get to them right
Let's
out?
do it. All right, Rokin. Wait, y'all have a Discord now? How do I get in, Matt? What an excellent setup, man.
Yeah, good stuff, Roken. So actually, there's news on that. For those of you who've been wondering about our Discord, people have been clamoring to get into the Discord server. Than and one of my good buddies, Luke, who's in IT, they did an amazing job setting up the server. Amazing, tremendous, most powerful server I've ever seen. If I do
The
say so
best
myself.
Discord server you've ever seen. The best.
And so the people that are in now, there's two groups of people now. Before there was just one. The first group of people were the VIP tier members of Patreon. You got automatic access, and they still do. The next tier is anybody who gives on GiveButter, which is the giving platform on our website, inspiringphilosophy.com/give. If you give on there, you become part of the donor welcome series, and you get an email that will give you a link to enter you into the Discord. So if you're a donor, you're the next level of people, and then we're going to be incrementally growing that as we go until everybody on Patreon has access, and then it's going to be made public eventually. We're doing that for a couple of reasons, because we're trying to raise funds, quite frankly, for Than to come on full time. We want to help Than be a full-time apologist with Inspiring Philosophy. He's doing amazing stuff behind the scenes, like helping with actual cutting edge scholarly academic research with scholars that is going to literally blow everybody's mind. Like, I'm not exaggerating. Dan, you want to talk about that for a real quick second?
Yeah, man. I mean, so, man, I wish I could show you guys the data that I'm working with right now. I'll just say this. We are working with over 30,000 data points in one of the two projects that I'm working on right now that will be submitted to the Journal of New Testament Studies, hopefully this fall. So, like, again, actual peer-reviewed, cutting-edge breakthrough scholarship for gospel reliability.
Yeah.
We're doing a lot of stuff, man. I mean, it's insane. And so if you guys want to help with me to be able to do that kind of stuff full time, there's this weird delicate balance between doing the scholarly stuff and then making the content and stuff like what we're going to do today. If you guys really want to help me be able to do more of that, the super chats, the donations, all of that stuff really helps. I think we're about $1,600 a month away from me being able to be like full-time, fully funded, not having to like bring in more money from different areas and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I've got to say real quick.
Go ahead, bro.
No, real quick. I would say that I've had many conversations with Than. I mentioned I'm not the best or smartest apologist, but man, Than's up there. So if you are one of my followers, if you're here for me, or at least mostly for me, I just encourage you to check them out and donate if you can. I think it would really help to push that and get Than to the top. This guy's very smart.
I appreciate that. Appreciate that very much. All right, and like Than mentioned, tonight we're going to be actually doing something that is special for the donors. Like, you guys gave just for what we're going to do tonight. So if you're a donor or you are interested in what we do, stick around. You're going to see a lot of everything. So is there any other super chats?
Yeah, I'm ready to go to the next one. You just tell me. I'm going to follow your lead when you want to switch away from super chats. That's all.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Berman, Mr. Trash Rat, what's going on, man? He says, what exactly makes a man and a woman a woman? Okay. I'm not going to give a detailed answer here, but there's a reason why, and it's because I actually addressed this in my upcoming book on my my approach to the problem of evil. Believe it or not, my approach to the problem of evil is intertwined with arguing for the Christian sexual ethic in a way that's never been done before as well. So I'm going to put a lid on that right there. Brooks, if you have anything that you want to
I can give my thoughts. I would say I try to define it the way biologists do. And this is my general understanding. I think it may require some level of theology or kind of like design talk, but that's not necessarily necessary. I mean, scientists don't have to believe in theology. But I would say something like, and these are synonyms, having a distal function, being ordered towards, just being designed to, you don't have to have that design talk, to producing a small or large gamete. That's what I think what makes a man or a woman. Ultimately a male, female, but I think adult human male. Anyways, that would be my definition.
I will not be answering this because I'm just a dumb meme lord.
Okay, well, Matt, I do really quickly have a question for you to answer from the chat. That's not a super chat. I don't expect this question to be answered, but are donations to the IP site considered tax deductible or not?
Yes, if you give a donation on inspiringphilosophy.com/give, that donor portal that we use, is called Give Butter, and it's specifically for nonprofits such as Inspiring Philosophy, which is a 501c3. So if you donate, it is tax deductible, and we send those documents to everyone who gives, and as well as you getting access to our Discord now. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about that stuff, whether it be tax, giving, anything related to website, technical, email me, matt@inspiringphilosophy.com, and I'll do my best to answer you as quick as I can.
And if you guys, just really quickly too, if you have anywhere that you want the money to go specifically, if it's for Mike specifically, me, or anything like that, make sure you click that comment button and then say who you want it to go for.
Yeah, let me say something about that quick, because Than's being far too humble. So Than, when he came on, he had so many Than fans. The fan club joined Inspiring Philosophy, so it was like an enmeshment of two different IPs, so to speak. And so, are you a Than fan, Brooks? So, a lot of people that moved from Than's donor portal or his giving circle, whenever they did give or they do give, they'll leave a comment on inspiringphilosophy.com/give. In that comment section, they'll just say for Than, or they'll say, all Than, we want Than to shave his whole head, shaved Than. And so just leave a comment there, and that'll help us to know where to allocate the funds. So, all right, we're talking so much about money, it's actually making me really uncomfortable.
Let's move on to Ezra says, where did you get Theist Alex O'Connor?
I think that's a compliment.
It is. Alex is a good-looking guy, and he's smart. I think they're saying you're good-looking.
I'll take it. There you go.
Plus, also you're dapped up like Alex is all the time too.
There you go. I'll take it.
Yeah, we need
normally, Brooks.
Yeah, I usually sleep in this.
Wow.
Dude, he says this is what he looks like when he works, and he works every day. I think he's a hustler.
Maybe we need to increase the amount of money that I need to try to raise, because I would love to be able to afford to dress like that all the time. Here I am, like,
let's do it. Come on, guys.
I'm just gonna come over, Brooks, and then hopefully we just fit in the same clothes.
Dude, okay, I know like I said, I know we're talking about money a lot, and I don't want to be that guy. I'm gonna mention one more thing, and then we'll talk about money later. Okay, if you do give, a lot of people have been asking, what credentials does Than have? What credentials does Mike have? So first of all, Mike has a master's in philosophy from the University of Arizona, but he would eventually like to get his PhD, and I know Than would eventually like to get his PhD as well. Eventually, what we're trying to do in Inspiring Philosophy is make it so that we can support them in their scholastic endeavors. So if that's something you want to give towards, if you're wondering what your donation goes towards, these are things that would help only to legitimize Inspiring Philosophy even more. Dan is beautiful.
Credential. Dan is credential too. Oh man. Dude. All right, Aaron, thank you for the super chat. Found a Lad Bible science article that disproves the feeding of the 5,000 with a natural explanation. It's worth a chuckle if you want to check it out. Email it to me. Maybe we'll even cover it here if we got a quick second anyway, too. I mean, email it to me at than@inspiringphilosophy.com, and if it's something we can even cover just today, maybe we will.
Sweet.
I am Matt from Esports here.
That's perfect. It really is him.
Oh my gosh, bro. It looks like you, Matt.
Brooks, do you have a favorite Wii Sports character?
I think I'm too old. I don't remember any of that. My brother played it, but I'm too young. I don't remember that.
I was about to say, because I feel like the Wii Sports era is kind of like my times. I don't know.
I played it when I was like 6, but I don't remember enough.
I think they're called Mii's, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that one. I think that was my favorite. Yours.
Yeah.
All right.
Mine.
Keep the super chats coming, guys. I know we got some extra ones left, but Matt, maybe you want to start getting into the TikToks here.
Yeah. Okay. So just for those of you who like order, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do some reactions with the GOAT of Christian reaction videos, Theist Brooks. You're gonna see him do his thing live on air. So I just picked a bunch of unhinged atheist clips from TikTok. We're gonna go through them and just break them apart, and then
sounds good.
Yeah, but I have one rule,
Go for it.
Brooks.
Okay.
Every single time that we're about to respond to something, like before I play the clip, I just need to hear you say the words.
All right, let's hear
All right.
He said it.
All right, here we go.
it. All right, let's
So
hear it.
here's the first clip. Let me know if you can't hear it. You should be able to, but
And you guys will forgive murderers. Jesus will forgive you murderers, child molesters, if he believes in them or if they believe in him. But
do you say something, Matt?
Can you make that full screen? Will that fill the whole screen when you click on full screen?
Oh, yeah, look at you, man.
Hey.
if you're a good person who doesn't fully believe in him,
Yeah, so to that, I would say there's no such thing as a good person.
Because we're all sinners.
So all good
there's
people,
such thing as a bad person.
all good people go to heaven. That's clear biblically, right? But Jesus said,
By the way, Brooks, if you want us to stop at any moment, just tell me.
Yeah, this is a little bit longer, so if you want to just be like, wait a minute, let's talk about that quick.
Are we responding to this part of the stitch incoming?
So he's gonna talk. There's gonna
There's a
be
stitch incoming. Oh,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
right
there's stitch
there.
incoming.
Guys, I didn't watch these videos ahead of time.
Yeah, I mean,
Dude.
you get used to it when you respond all day. You see things like that. So
Yeah.
I caught it.
All right, I'll keep it going.
says no one is good but God. So we have a dilemma, right? All good people go to heaven. No one is good but God. What does that mean? No one's going to heaven. There's no such thing as an innocent person. In that I deserve hell. Me, Wes Huff. I deserve hell 100% of the time. That's like the wages of sin is death. And that's the language that Paul uses, in that I'm like actively working at a job to earn a wage. And that's sin and death, right?
All right, let's talk about hell a little bit. See, Paul.
Oh man, I actually really like this guy. I disagree
Yeah.
with Pete Ends a lot, but man, I like him.
And
So,
real quick,
like, go ahead.
I don't
Go
know.
ahead.
I don't know what he's gonna say to Wes Huff, but I would say in general, I agree with Wes Huff. I think it's biblical, right? We all deserve death, and that ultimately leads to hell. But I think there are some nuances here. In the case of, like, let's say a serial killer or some very, very bad person, at least you could say, I think it is the case that regardless of what they did, there is still a rejection of God. And so, in this sense, everyone is on the same playing field. There's a rejection of God. And I would say plausibly, like, even if, let's say hypothetically, in hell, God opened the doors, those in hell, I think they would still reject him. And even I would say, and I think Dan would probably point this out as well, you don't have to hold to this view of hell. It's kind of a very niche view of hell. And then lastly, I would say, I mean, obviously, God would forgive a sinner that begs to be forgiven, regardless of what they've done. I mean, to me, that seems intuitively obvious. Lord, forgive me, and there's a genuineness behind it, even maybe begging to God for forgiveness. To me, it seems obvious that a good God intuitively would do that, regardless of what they did.
Yeah, I would say also too. Let me know if what you think about this,
Yeah.
Brooks. But oftentimes questions like this come. There's something smuggled into the question, which is basically when you're gonna root the question down, it's basically like, why is it that somebody, who lived a horrible life but got lucky enough to believe, gets to get away with everything, but the person that really tried their best to be good but just couldn't believe because of their circumstances doesn't get that chance, right? And I think smuggled into that question is the idea that the person that doesn't believe, if they're not culpable for their non-belief, that God's still going to hold them culpable for something they're not culpable for, right? Like, if it is truly not their fault, at least I think Matt, you would agree, and Mike would, that God's going to grant some sort of grace to them, whether that's postmortem opportunity or something like that. Brooks, do you have anything to say on that?
No, absolutely. I think I would agree with you. I think that's very plausible. In this case, where they're not culpable, then God wouldn't judge them in the same way. But in other cases, then it's kind of trivial. Obviously, they are culpable. They're continually rejecting God, and so what's the issue here? I think it's down to that dilemma.
All right, let's go. Let's see what Pete Ends has to say.
Let me say something quick. Pete is not an atheist. Pete Ends is not an atheist. I was hoping Dan would look through these before we put him live, but this is more like kind of like getting into the spirit of response.
Yes.
Writes in Romans chapter 6 that the wages of sin is what? Death. He does not say that the wages of sin is hell. And I continue to be shocked at how many people miss this. and with devastating consequences, both theological and very practical ones. See, according to Paul in Romans 5, Adam transgressed. And Adam's transgression resulted in what? Paul says the word condemnation. What does that mean? Well, condemnation is universal death. When people read that word condemnation, they've been conditioned to immediately think hell, which just puts us off on the wrong track immediately, because that is not remotely what Paul argues in Romans. His focus
pause it quick.
is on.
So far, what do you guys think about what he's had to say?
I mean, as an annihilationist, I'm like, all right, dope. Like, I'm fine with this because, yeah, the wages of sin is death. The gift of God is eternal life, and that's the gospel. Kind of that's it in a nutshell. So I mean, like,
what he's saying though is like that people make the equivocation that death in that passage is hell or means hell, like the death that would be hell.
Yeah,
and
I would tend to agree with his interpretation here.
Okay, what do you think, Brooks?
I would say I don't have a lot to add. I mean, I don't delve into the different interpretations of hell. I don't think it's like heretical to be an annihilationist. Annihilationist is kind of the idea, it seems like he's describing, that maybe after a time or immediately people go out of existence, rather living in eternal conscious torment or something of that sort. And I don't debate those things. All I argue is that regardless of the view, I think God is fair and just, even if, for example, the strong traditional view of hell is true.
All right. I'm curious to see where he keeps going with this.
Yeah.
The universal plight of humanity. The fact that all die, Jew and Gentile, which, by the way, is completely in keeping with Genesis chapter 3. So when Paul says elsewhere in Romans, in Christ there is now no condemnation, he's not saying that Jesus saves us from eternal damnation in hell, but from death's eternal hold. So when people say, we were all born sinners deserving of hell because the righteous God just had to punish all of humanity because God's justice cannot be violated in any way, but then Jesus sort of steps in and keeps God from doing that for a very select few, I feel they have completely lost the plot. Rather, if one wishes to stick with the biblical plot line, one should simply say, I was born with a guaranteed death sentence, which Jesus overturned by defeating sin and death on Easter weekend. Folks, that is the good news. Not that God saved a precious few of us from eternal conscious torment because his perfect righteous law had been violated and God had no choice but to condemn to death everybody. That is ridiculous. And while I'm at it, when Paul refers to Jesus' perfect obedience, he doesn't mean that Jesus led a perfect life. He may have. In fact, I'm inclined to think he did. But that's not what Paul means. Rather, he means that Jesus was perfectly obedient by willingly going to the cross on behalf of humanity. Or to use Paul's analogy, the second Adam, Jesus, was obedient at a crucial moment, whereas the first Adam was disobedient in his crucial moment.
Okay, what do you guys think?
Brooks, go ahead.
He seems like a very reasonable guy. I won't make any arguments against what he's proposing. I think it's relatively reasonable. It seems to me more of a interfaith dialogue or interfaith debate. I don't know if I say interdenominational, but I don't know. It's interesting, and I don't have much to say. It's not my area.
Yeah, I mean, I was on board with him. This is one of those things where it's like hard because I don't think Dr. Enns wants to say that Paul didn't believe Jesus led a perfect life, right?
He said that, yeah.
Because he's right that in the context of the passage that we're referencing here, right, Paul is specifically zeroing in on the perfect obedience unto death that he's talking about. But what I want to be careful about there is what doesn't follow from that is that Paul didn't believe that Jesus led a perfect life. And do you get what I'm trying to say? It almost sounded like Dr. Enns was like slipping close to saying Paul, like that Paul didn't believe that or anything like that. But I don't think that's what is going on here. Matt, Brooks?
I don't like, yeah, I mean, I'm not the smart one here by any means, but like, I'm kind of confused, kind of like what he's addressing. I feel like in one part, he's saying that Wes's hermeneutical approach was wrong in that one passage, and then another sense he's reintroducing penal substitutionary atonement, where he's like, well, what the gospel really is Jesus dying for our sins on the cross. But I feel like they're saying the same thing, though. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. I'm the dumb one.
I think that's my biggest disconnect. I'm not sure what the exact correlation between what Wes Huff is saying and his response. He doesn't directly address anything that Wes Huff is saying, except, I don't know, maybe some of the rhetoric, but it doesn't seem that substantially different.
It just sounds like Dr. Enns is disagreeing with the version of hell that Wes Huff is putting up, and is probably disagreeing with the atonement theory in some way, shape, or form. But other than that, I mean, what?
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I don't like.
Next
This is
atheist.
one of those. I wanted to just get your guys' take on it, but we
Cool,
probably
yeah,
don't
it's
have
pretty
enough
chill.
time. What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying that's cool. It's pretty chill.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know how deep we wanted to get into that. I was
Cool.
hoping that Than would notice something that I missed. But yeah, we can just go on to the next one.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, I as somebody that holds to conditional immortality / annihilationism, like, I would agree with Pete Enns that the curse is death and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, hopefully this next one will be better, because this guy's name is Flying Spaghetti Audit.
Yeah, here we go.
Shirt and that facial expression, man, that tells me, oh, I'm ready.
Let's go.
Are you ready, Brooks?
I guess. All right, let's hear it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Do you remember that one time Elisha was...
Can you hear that okay? It sounds kind of quiet on
It's
my
a little low. Maybe you can bring the volume up on the video.
It's all the way up.
Let's just do it. It's fine.
Okay.
Walking through the woods when he was accosted by a bunch of children who made fun of his bald head. They laughed at him. They said, "Get out of here, baldy. Ha ha, loser." Elisha was very offended, so he prayed to God, "Heal these kids, I pray, in Lord Jesus Christ's name, please murder these children. They do not deserve to live. They made fun of me. They deserve to die." God answered his prayer and sent 2 bears to kill 42 of the children. Were these kids innocent? No. They did make fun of Elisha's bald head, which is very rude. But, I mean, come on. We've all been young ones. We've all made jokes at someone else's expense. Did these kids really deserve to have their throats ripped open by bears? That seems a little cruel and drastic by God. I think maybe this time God got it wrong.
Dude, first of all, I was hoping that you would save that one for later. You ordered this so poorly.
Bro, I'm just going in the order that's in the Google Drive, man.
I was hoping you would review them at least for 2 seconds. But anyway, Zach, we can pre-play that one later. What do you guys think about the video? What do you guys think about the video?
I think it was expertly crafted. It was very funny. and Brooks, I'm gonna let Brooks.
Did God get it wrong, Brooks?
Yeah, well, I mean, there are some, I guess, it's a common problem, like intuitively, like how can we understand this passage? But obviously, the way this guy's framing it is absurd. I mean, come on. God commanded the bears to murder. This guy's so dramatic, and the way he's framing the context and the rhetoric of the passage is not the case at all. I would say a number of things, though, as maybe to a genuine believer that is having a trouble understanding this passage. First of all, I would say, just as a prior note or a note beforehand, that there are a variety of interpretations on this passage that can help us understand it better. One, for example, that they weren't actually young children, they were young men. Scholars can debate about that. That there is no causal relation between the bears and the mauling, but maybe that's implausible to you. Anyways, there are a variety of interpretations to help us understand this passage more in light of God and his justice. But I would say that 2 things. One, I would say that God has a right to take life in the same way that God owns everything, and so he cannot steal. And so I've given an analogy of God can take life in the same way that, let's say I give you $20, and this is not to say that $20 is equal to your life. Rather, the point is God is the giver of life. The principle of the analogy is the givingness. God gives life. I give the $20. If I give $20 to you every day, and then I stop for whatever reason, maybe you're doing something bad or doing something evil, you can't cry out and say, that's not fair. No, it is. I am the gift giver. I decide. I would say that's what Christians believe. You can't really get around that God takes life in the Old Testament. But in connection with that, I would say this. There is a redemptive hermeneutic in the Bible. From the Old Testament to the New, God is redeeming his people. He's moving forward. He's going towards his ideal. And so the specific instance of the bears mauling these, whatever you want to call it, these children or young men, is serving a particular purpose in the overall narrative, but it's a progression. It's part of God's judgment of sin. This is a particular instance towards particular audiences, maybe including us, but it serves a particular purpose and it's an attack on sin. But we see that culminated in the cross, which it's hard to disagree with the ethic of the cross, but that's the same God. The same God that died on the cross and did not retaliate is the same as the one that sent those bears. And then ultimately, I think it culminates in the final judgment, which will make us all understand, I think subjectively, there will be an understanding, and even objectively, that there's perfect fairness and judgment. And I think Fan has talked about this before with a sort of defeat condition. I think there's something very valuable here. It's illuminating that I think eventually we'll have some sort of subjective experience or subjective understanding that God didn't do wrong. We understand he's good. I think we'll be enlightened to a certain extent, and it'll be further more clear.
What do you think, Dan?
Nice. I like that answer. No, I'm a big fan of being able to interweave a lot of the interdisciplinary aspects of a lot of this stuff. For anybody that's interested in some dorky stuff that I'm not going to get into on this stream, because it's got to deal with things about like cosmic geography and all this other stuff. There's a paper I would recommend. Let me just pull it up quick. Can you guys see that? Is that really small?
It's kind of small. Going down to Bethel.
Going down to Bethel,
yeah.
By Joel S. Burnett. Really good paper on this. I think actually Michael Heiser covered this paper as well. Somewhere. I can Google it really quick and find it. Give me a sec.
Going down to Bethel. Elijah and Elisha in the theological geography of the Deuteronomistic history. Woo!
I don't know if you're fresh on this,
like
but
I said, really dorky stuff. It's got to do with cosmic geography, and you have to know some Hebrew and all that jazz. Maybe, hey, you know what? Honestly, this could be a really fun thing to do on a Discord server. If you guys want to go through papers like this with me on the Discord server, I'm happy to help you guys go through some of these papers.
What were you going to say, Brooks?
Yeah, I don't know if you're fresh on it, but I was curious, like the general premise or synopsis?
I don't remember it off the top of my head.
That's all good.
It's one of those things where it's like, here, but
I got you. No, I completely understand.
I'll
have to read it. I haven't seen it, but I love Michael Heiser.
Yeah. So for anybody that wants to hear Michael Heiser talk about it, it's on podcast. It's like his actual podcast before he passed away. 110 Q&A 15. So would highly recommend that. But
my layman understanding of this passage, whenever like an atheist would bring it up to me, I'm a former minister, was that there's a lot more going on in the context of the passage that would make it's not just haha you're bald and then God is like, hey, I don't like you made fun of his bald head, so you're gonna die from these she bears, and then these huge Pokemon sized bears just come down and just tear him to shreds. It's more like grown men who were representing other gods and disrespecting God, and their disrespect of Elisha was basically an interpretation of God's duking it out and God showing that he had dominion over the other gods. Is that about somewhere in the realm of what you're thinking, Than?
It's related because, like, again, it's about cosmic geography stuff.
Yeah,
I really wish.
Which is cosmic geography is basically the nerdy words.
I'm actually going to pull up a little article here. This might help. Here. This might help a little bit.
But let me just say too, because there's a lot of atheists in the comments that are just like, your God sent the bears. It's like, listen, guys, if we're dealing with an ancient document, let's at least give the benefit of the doubt that the document that we're dealing with isn't something that we can read in an anachronistic form. Like we have to take it within its cultural boundaries.
Yeah, for sure.
Go ahead.
So like this article here says, there are several things being telegraphed in this passage that can be lost to the modern reader because we are so far removed from the cultural context necessary to interpret and understand what the author wants to communicate through the story. So here, 2 Kings is riddled with cosmic geography and its implications, competing gods, competing worship systems, and competing places of worship. Here's what cosmic geography is. It's not literal geography, right? It's an ancient Near Eastern context type thing. And let me just kind of power through this a little bit here. So like Bethel and Ai are parallels with Jericho and Jerusalem, if you guys are catching my drift here. And so think about it this way. The children, right, which were not children, that go up to Elijah or Elisha, I always get the two mixed up, that go up to him in this passage, they're not atheists. They're not like some dude in the streets in New York that's like, screw religion, secular humanism. No, like these people are all, they hate Yahweh worship. They are antagonistic towards the early Israelites. This is not just making fun of him. In fact, like there's probably threats of actual physical violence happening here, all sorts of stuff. For instance, if you see the location here, Ai is recorded as one of the places where we have wars happening because of the cosmic geography conflicts and God promising the Israelites the promised land. They cover the fact that it's not little boys. Do you guys want to go over this? I could, yeah.
Not really. I was about to say, like, let's not dig too much into the weeds on this.
No, it's good.
Especially if. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think it's a valid point, and thanks for the resource. The point is, there's a lot more nuance, and I think atheists, especially this guy, is being absurd by, just make fun of him. Yeah.
This is the problem at the end of the day, right? It's like most of these objections come down to yanking verses out in isolation without contextualizing what's actually happening.
Yeah. Right? Like just looking at one Hebrew word and being like, see, you see? The word, it says this, but it's like we have to look at the totality of information here and not just isolate certain segments like, oh, bear, kill children. Oh, it's like, this isn't, like I said before, and like scholars say, you have to look at the entire context of all the things that are being portrayed here. And if you apply American Western thinking to how you read these texts, it's just not gonna translate the way you think it will.
Exactly. All right. Do you want me to pull up the next one?
Let's go another one. Yeah.
Here. Just tell me which one to do next.
just do it. It's cool. Those, like, honestly, those two were like the only throwaways. The other ones are pretty crazy.
Okay.
People tell me that I can't be a good person without God.
Hey, who's that? That looks familiar.
No.
So Brooks, you answered this, but I wanted you to. I was about to say, I wanted you to contextualize this video for us before we like listen to you yap about you.
Okay.
Hey, by the way, my wife texted me saying she's really tired, so we have to.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay. I often ask him this.
No, Sam, let Brooks.
My bad.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So this is TikTok Jesus. He has several million followers. He's a pretty antagonistic person, I would say, but he's very. I don't know. He seems happy. I don't know. You'll see. He says, "Oh, you finally connected me, Atheist Brooks." Yes, finally. And so, anyways, he doesn't make very substantive videos, and so I was excited to respond to one of his little more substantive. But basically, the context, and you'll see in the video, he tries to basically argue that his main premise was that you can't be moral if you're a Christian. Especially Christians can't say that about atheists, because if I pick a random verse in the Bible, then you'll see this is a really bad book, and that's your ethic. You're a very bad Christian. And so he cites Psalm 137 about like dashing little infants against rocks, something like that.
Oh, great.
And he's saying, yeah, are you a really good Christian? This is the ethic you believe. And so my general response, I don't know which response this is. We've done multiple, but my response is in general that, that's not a part of our ethic. And then I talk about that context. And it's like the last passage, just ripped out of context. There's no nuance. It's completely a goofball.
So the typical online atheist behavior.
Yeah. Probably worse, but.
All right, let's see it.
Well, Theist Brooks, you finally got after one of my videos, eh?
Yep.
I love that accent.
All right, then. Let's settle it.
Hi.
Exactly what it says, no matter what it says, both Old and New Testament, by the way. How much faith would you have in your Bible then? I would have a lot of faith. Did you know in Deuteronomy, if a woman on her wedding night is found to not be a virgin, she is to be brought to the front door of her father's house and stoned to death?
Once again, you are missing the point. This is not a true critique of the Christian moral system if you're just focusing on ancient Israelite regulations.
Can we, let's do this, just to move so we don't have to like listen to the full video.
Yeah, we just
Brooks, would you be able to just like condense your answer as to why he's wrong?
Yeah, so I don't even address that specific passage, although I think there are very good answers to that passage. But the general idea is, and he makes different objections, but the general idea is that this is not a part of our ethic. Ancient Israelite regulations are not the Christian ethic. And so if you're going to play a game of like, let's pick random ethical beliefs that Christians hold to, that's not one of them. And so you're completely either straw manning or shifting the goalposts. You're missing the point. That's not what our ethical beliefs are. Why don't you, I don't know, cite a belief that we actually hold, that we are, for example, we have a moral obligation to give to the homeless or to the vulnerable or to care for the vulnerable. Things like, I guess, the Jesus ethic, which we're commanded to do directly, that's a part of our ethic. But anyways, he made another response, I think, but I don't know how many times we went back and forth.
Yeah.
Sorry, my wife is kind of a little premature.
We can do it now. How about we take a pause?
Okay, yeah, I was about to say, Dan, if you had any comments on the hermeneutics going on here, but if we want to just jump into this.
Well, we can continue addressing this, but I'll just say this really quickly, at least with the passage that he brought up with the test about whether or not somebody was a virgin on their wedding night. Was that what he brought up? That passage, that Deuteronomy passage? So one, the Old Testament law codes are not legal legislation in the same sense that you're thinking about in modern times. Two, these are not universal principles about how you're supposed to do things. God's not teaching science. He's working with an old people group that does not understand science. And God speaking science to these people would be like telling a 5-year-old how to do quantum physics. Okay. So Brooks brought it up earlier. Incremental redemptive movement ethic. God is working with the people, stepping into the swamp of humanity itself and working and pushing them towards a greater ethic. In fact, if you actually think about this a little bit, this passage was probably more protective of the woman and really progressive relative to Israel's ancient Near Eastern geography. Just think about it, for instance, because we don't really see law codes, to my knowledge, that are similar to this. It's the woman that gets to bring this up, by the way. That's a really big deal. And the whole entire point is this is more so a way of the woman being able to protect herself against false allegations. There's a lot more that I could say for that, but that's for now. We'll pause there. Matt,
so the fun part.
We'll keep doing the responses and everything while this is happening. But Matt, go ahead.
All right,
People
folks. So the moment of truth is here. Just so you guys know, for the past few live streams, some of you have been saying, or no, Than, did you bring this up first, or was it you guys in the comments that were bringing it up?
I don't remember how this all started.
Yeah, I don't know how this started, but basically there was this clamoring for Than to have his hair shaved clean off if we received about $500 in donations. Somebody, an angel, gave us $1,000. So shout out Lucas Taylor. I want to make sure I get that name right again. Lucas, thank you so much. Is it Luke or Lucas? I don't want to mess. I don't remember. I'm messing it up. But they gave $1,000. He gave $1,000, and we're like, all right, well, we have to do it now.
Yeah,
we have to. So that's what happened. And so tonight is the night where we get to see Than go bald. So Than, while your wife goes ahead and starts doing it, let's see if we can answer another video while this is happening.
Did you want to keep doing this one?
Yeah, just go ahead and continue answering the original objection if you can, so that way we don't have to have the video side by side.
I'm gonna mute so that way. I mean, well, here, my wife doesn't have my wife doesn't have her hijab on, so you won't be able to see it. But I'm gonna mute.
Well, so make it so that it's full screen so people can see that your hair's getting chopped off. Let's do it.
What do you mean full screen? Like,
get rid of the side by side and make it so that everybody can see your hair getting chopped off.
there we
go.
This?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Just continue answering the
People
video.
won't be able to hear.
Just
like,
continue answering the video that we are
okay.
addressing here. Yeah.
I mean, we already did technically. There's more.
Is it all over? Like, do you feel like
No.
it's
There's
been
more.
answered
Look at all this
sufficiently?
extra space we got left.
Okay, just go for it then. And I
Yeah,
just want
okay.
people to
My
see your
wife
hair
will
getting
start. I'm
chopped
gonna
off.
mute up. Brooks, just tell me when to stop it.
It's bad.
The fact that the Western world is completely saturated by the Christian ethic. And how did that come about, Brooks? How did they spread their religion across the world, eh?
You're a professional at dodging the point. The point was, you are making a video critiquing the Christian moral system, yet that is the moral system you are saturated by, like everyone else in the Western world. It was spread in good and bad ways, and I condemn the bad ways, but that's completely irrelevant to my point. Next.
You do this game for your worldview. Since you have no...
I don't know if you want to. Do you want me to respond? I mean, I guess I gave my response to what he said. Do you just want me to expand on what I already said, or what's the vibe
Yeah,
here?
like see if you can condense it. Like I said, I wasn't trying to watch the whole video because you're here.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to say. But
Yeah.
yeah, let's see. Let's hear you condense it.
I don't even remember the objections he makes after that. Okay, I mean, his point here is just that. Oh, but how did it come about? But it's completely irrelevant to the point. That's my condensed version.
Can you guys hear the razor when I unmute?
No.
Oh, really?
Not
Okay,
really.
so that's fine.
Yo, you look
Oh
so
my
good.
gosh.
Dude, should I just leave it?
Love that
Bro,
she's leaving
wait,
the bald spot.
Can we put Than full screen? Like only him? Is that possible?
Yeah, can
I
you
bet
put us
I
to the
do it
side?
here.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. Yes. Dude. Oh my gosh, you look like Tobias Funke.
Dude,
Wow.
this is crazy.
Wow. Dan's wife, this is what you have to look forward to in 10 years.
So how does this make
Dude.
you feel?
It's really hot.
Yes, dude, you aged so bad. Like it happened so quickly. You just gained like 30 years on your life.
That was worth every penny. My
Wow.
goodness. Good job, Lucas or Luke or whatever.
Yeah,
Are
I
you-
need to get into
Are we
this
gonna
and
offer the
watch it.
bonus tonight, Matt? Or
Okay, so while Than's getting his head chopped off, we want to put another bonus out there for those of you who are interested in seeing Than be demoralized on camera. If any of you want to give towards, inspiring philosophy, all of it's going to go towards Than, and which is another reason why we're doing this. For every, we'll say $50 after this bonus, hair wax. For every $50, Than's gonna wax a part of his body on his chest or legs or arms or something like that. Is the mustache gonna be up for sale, Mrs.
is the mustache up for
Mrs.
sale?
Than?
That's fine.
Mrs. Than?
That's fine.
My wife said that's fine. What is your price for the mustache, love?
Well, so I'm gonna tally.
Well, my wife
Starting-
really likes the mustache, so she's putting a price on the mustache. What'd you say?
Oh, I can't do too much math, so I was just gonna stick with $50.
Okay.
So if we reach another $50 starting from now, we'll start waxing you. If we don't, then you just get to keep your hair. It's fine.
Sounds really nice.
I think you're gonna look like a action star after this, dude.
Maybe you should leave it like that. Like just stop there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Where were we now? Are we moving into a different video?
Low key.
Yeah, let's go to another video while this is happening because I know she's having
Okay.
fun.
I don't have my glasses on, so I have to.
Uh-oh. How blind are you?
I don't remember how blind I am. Okay, here. Oh, I know this chick.
This is a piece of propaganda.
Can you hear that?
Okay. Yeah. So if you can is it full screen already?
Yeah.
Okay. So she's responding to this comment that's basically saying, so this is like a
Wait.
video
Pause
within a
it.
video within a video where she's responding to somebody saying that God isn't obligated to explain himself to anyone. Heaven and hell aren't about God being cruel. They're about the result of choice. God gives people the dignity of free will. If you choose him, yada, yada, yada. So but her point of contention is that she feels as though God he is obligated to reveal himself to everyone. So go ahead and play it, and we'll hear her argument.
Propaganda that some Christians spread that I will never be falling for. Yes, God is obligated to prove himself to you if he is asking for your eternal soul. That is not an unreasonable ask. It's actually the most reasonable ask you could ask of somebody who is asking for everything from you. Everything, including your eternal soul. The bare minimum, and I mean the bare minimum, I've said this so many times, I don't care. The bare minimum when it comes to having a relationship with somebody is proving to them that you even exist, that you're even a being. And if God is all-knowing and all-powerful, it would cost him absolutely nothing to do that. It's the most gaslighting type of propaganda I've ever seen within Christianity, that some Christians say that, oh, that's just too big of an ask to ask somebody or something to prove.
So she's basically saying, she's appealing to what is happening. You got rid of. Oh no, you're muted. You're muted, Thad.
Sorry.
Okay. She's basically appealing to divine hiddenness.
Yeah.
Brooks, do you have anything before we we go to Thad?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I would say a number of things. I think partially of what we talked about earlier, but maybe I'll start with this. I would say that people do know. I would make that claim. I think there's very good evidence in the cognitive science of religion that essentially, yo, you should just leave. You should just leave that. That's good.
What are you doing?
Wow. She's joining.
No,
this
I actually don't look as bad as I thought I would.
I think you're gonna look awesome.
Best anniversary
That's
present.
great, dude.
Oh yeah, dude, it's our anniversary soon. It's our anniversary's tomorrow. Are you okay?
Oh my goodness.
That's your anniversary.
All right, keep going, Brooks.
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
sorry, Brooks.
No, we're good. Yeah, I think the first thing I would say is that people do know. I would make that claim. Regardless of God's obligations, I think that's complicated, especially for divine command theorists. Does God command himself? Anyways, and that constitutes obligations. Besides that weird stuff, I think people do know. I think there's very good evidence in the cognitive science of religion that essentially that atheists are in denial. I think studies show that, for example, they have an emotional reaction when they dare God to do terrible things. They have an intuitive reaction to nature that there's design if it's forced a response within, I don't know, 0.25 seconds or something like that. Anyways, I think there's very good evidence that people do know. It's a widespread belief that God exists. And so the way she's framing it is like, nobody knows. God is completely hidden. I think that is not the case. And then secondly, I would say that God isn't in a good range, and God being all-knowing knows the best way. I'm a skeptical theist, which I think means we should be skeptical about the reasons that God has, meaning you don't know all the goods that come out of God being at the distance he is. I think it's Blaise Pascal. He talks about an analogy of like a king coming down to woo a servant. The point is, if the king just went straight up in the kingly attire and was like, I'm a king, the servant would be forced to love the king. But I think God has arranged the world in such a way that we're not compelled to love God as a king and we're a servant, but that he's wooing us with his love. He went to the cross, and we're not forced to believe, but we're accountable. And the last thing I would like to say, and I think Than pointed out this earlier, is this dilemma, or I guess distinction, of culpability. She's seeking the assumption that, oh, these people, it's not fair. They don't know that God exists. In that case, where they're not culpable for knowing that God exists, it wasn't their fault. I think God judges those cases differently. But in the cases that they do know, and I think that's most of the cases, they are culpable. They continually reject God, and so obviously they deserve hell. All right, Dan, let's hear with the bald take.
Well, hold on. Do you have anything to say about this, Gabe?
I wasn't listening.
What? So she basically argued that God doesn't exist because if God wants a relationship with you, he would at least prove that he exists to you. What would your answer be?
Doesn't he already do that?
Based. She actually asked the question. I agree with everything you said, Brooks, by the way. But yeah. She also asked the question that my answer is actually yes. She asked, does God actually lose anything by just outright proving that he exists to everybody? And what I'm not saying is that God loses something, meaning he has less than what he could have had or anything like that. But reality itself is going to be just not as valuable of a reality if we lived in a reality where it was just obvious that God existed, and there was no way, shape, or form that we could doubt God's existence or have like reasonable epistemic wiggle room or anything like that. So I think we're actually in like an epistemic Goldilocks zone. Dr. Ryan Mullins talks about, for instance, how when he was a little kid, he was at a youth group and the pastor was talking about basically saying, hey, if you're in front of like when you're about to do something, ask yourself, would I do this if I was in front of Jesus? Now, Ryan didn't realize this at the time, but the pastor was talking about adult content, right? Ryan's head was, well, yeah, I don't think I'd play video games or watch TV in front of Jesus. And like, here's the thing, that kind of seems intuitively true. Like, I wouldn't watch TV in front of Jesus, even though like it's not wrong to do that. Like, I would just want to be with Jesus, right?
Right.
And the whole entire point that I'm trying to get at is like, if we lived in in the type of world where it's just so obvious and undeniable that God exists, well, the types of reactions we would have and the types of lives we would live would be very different than the meaning-making capacities that we have right now because we live in that epistemic Goldilocks zone.
Yeah, and I would say I think that's a great point. This is a good that Dan is pointing out, especially with like moral freedom or just even our moral responsibility or freedom in general. And then I would say maybe one other good, and I'm a skeptical theist, so I think there could be a number of goods, but one other potential good is like, for example, I think, and I personally, I think believers would identify with this. It's like the most meaningful thing to me. It brings me so much joy, and it's such a good to be able to share God, to fellowship, to have faith. If God was so obvious that he's like right in front of our nose, we couldn't have any of that. And I think that's an example of another loss. And I think you're right there.
If you put on sunglasses, you look like Andrew Tate. Dude, let's unmute quick.
Can you hear this one?
No.
Really? This is loud, dude.
Yeah, no, we don't. You must have the noise reduction on or echo cancellation on or something. So I was gonna say a couple things. So first, thank you guys so much for your super chats during this. We've raised almost $76, so that means you're getting waxed. You have to get something waxed.
We already hit the first round of waxes.
Yep. Round one of wax is here. So thank you guys so much for your generosity. Let's go through some of these super chats real quick.
Yeah.
That we haven't already covered.
I got hair in my mouth. Blech.
That's good.
Where were we?
I think the last one.
Was the last one we did?
Yeah, that was the last one, yeah.
Okay. I joined the VIP Patreon to access the Discord, and it's worth every penny.
Let's go.
It is worth every penny. Yesterday night, I played a game called Quarantine, where I got to decide if people were infected with a zombie infection or not. And I just hung out with people on the Discord server.
Did you talk any theology or anything?
Say what?
Did you talk about any theology or philosophy, or it was just a hangout?
Yeah, we'll do all sorts of stuff. We have can I show the Discord server?
No.
Okay, never mind.
Because people can, if they see the URL, they can copy
a bunch of really fun stuff on there, you guys. So, and look, I don't know what else you need. Shonen Disciple himself is saying it's worth every penny.
Thank you so much, Shonen.
I can't read this.
And Edge Transit says, any book recommendations on what love is and how to put it in better practice?
Ooh, Brooks, if you have anything, do that. Hey, give me a sec, babe. I can get up.
Any recommendations, Brooks?
I don't know any off the top of my head. I don't know if you mean specifically love to all men. This is kind of tangential. It's related. I'm reading a book called Sacred Marriage with my fiance, and I definitely recommend that. It does touch on love and how to love your spouse, and I think it can be applied more generally to humanity. And so maybe that's currently what I'm reading. But beyond that, I'm not too sure. I know at least Aquinas' view is to will the good of another. I think there's some nuance there, but that's his view. I don't have a specific book though. It sounds like Than did.
I do have I have a book recommendation. Our very good friend Dr. Ryan Mullins put out a book called Eternal in Love, a little book about a big God, and it basically talks about God's love towards us in a very, very deep but comprehensible, accessible way. Cool. Awesome book. Really, really awesome book. There's like a question that people ask, like, why did God even create? And it's actually his love. And so this gets really, really deep into that. Shout out Dr. Ryan Mullins. He's a huge friend of ours. Check that out, Mr. Edge Transit.
I almost grabbed that book, but I wanted to go for a more pastoral thing. So this is gonna sound really Christianese, but I don't know if it's gonna show. The Normal Christian Life by Watchman Nee.
Okay.
Is
that good?
It's nothing. It's not gonna like change your world, but it was one of those things that I read early in my Christian walk that like really helped me in terms of like, because when you're asking the question like, how do I love people and how do I put that in place, that seems synonymous with how do I live the Christian life. Are you just laughing, Matt? Because I'm like answering the question while I'm getting shaved.
That and somebody just gave 50 euros, so you're gonna have to get something else.
Another 50? Okay, we got 2 strips.
You got 2 wax strips coming.
Okay.
So all right, let's move on to the next one. Yeah.
What's the most useless donation I can give? I don't know.
Maybe asking
That's a Matt question.
Yeah, I don't know. Giving anything, we appreciate you and we love
I don't
you.
think there's any such thing as a useless donation, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. We need all the
base. That's base.
Keep in mind, this all goes towards Than, so anything that you give will get put into a lump sum that goes to Than.
Yes. Ooh, Brute Facts Podcast. One of my best friends ever, Eddie. Than is so hot.
Oh, that's Eddie?
Yeah, I love
Oh,
Eddie, man.
what's up, bro? Let's
Thank
go to
you,
another
Eddie.
one. Thanks.
Oh,
we got
real
an
quick, like,
admirer.
Just really quick, for anybody that doesn't know Eddie Kroom, like, I have Eddie to thank as one of the foundational people for like how I got to where I'm at, learning philosophy, theology, all that stuff. So he's a really cool cat. All right, this is too much to read for me without my glasses. Sorry,
I got you. Theus Brooks was the first person I saw that showed me that Christianity was more than some fundamentalist young earth creationist religion.
Yuck.
Before that, I had my doubts and in my faith due to atheist skeptics. What do you have to say to that, Brooks?
That's my goal. I love to hear that. It sounds a meaningful part of what I do. All glory to God. Yeah, I mean, I would say that, I try to be far reaching to people that maybe are in that camp or other camps, and maybe they can go further than me and go to smarter people like Than and maybe get more help if they don't have enough from me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This way.
You should start the wax thing while you're in there.
Yeah, let's get the wax heated up. Let's go. All right. I'm trying to add things up here.
Bruh,
it looks pretty good.
Annihilationism, FTW.
For the win.
Yeah, brother.
I like it. I like your head.
Yeah, it's actually dope.
I'm honestly surprised that, like, I was expecting to look horrible, but she's also like going skin level. So,
oh, nice. Yeah, that'll look
she's
great.
Just emptying the thingy. I'm gonna have to.
Eddie says, "Bruh, typological prophecy for the win."
Ooh.
No. Don't you dare. Don't start.
I'm not. All I will say, Matt, you don't even know about this, but I guess I'll let it leak.
Uh-oh.
I have been working on stuff on prophecy in the background very slowly.
Whoa.
And I have a novel approach to prophecy in the Bible that a non-Christian scholar has said this is really interesting and strong.
Interesting.
So,
you've mentioned it to me, actually.
Have I? Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know much about it. But you mentioned that you've been working on it.
I'm not telling anybody anything for a while. Okay. Favorite Pokemon? Brooks, go.
Dude, I know Charizard. Probably that. Mewtwo.
Charizard.
Yeah.
Matt, honestly, I don't know Pokemon. I'm not a Pokemon guy.
Caterpie. My wife says Mrs. Than said Caterpie. Matt,
I really like Suicune.
Which one?
Suicune.
Suicune. Ah, the legendary.
Oh, is it Suicune or Suicune?
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Dog.
Yeah, I think it just looks so cool. Like the design of it is so cool and majestic. Yeah. I love it. And I used to play it all the time with Pokemon Go.
My favorite as a child was Jolteon.
Ooh, that's a solid choice, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Jolteon's so cool looking.
That's why I was like, oh, dude, look at this dog with the spikes and electricity.
Yes.
Sounds like I missed out on the time.
Eddie El Nino, thank you for the $2.
El Nino.
At least it wasn't the men without suits. Brooks, do you know about this?
No, I don't
no.
know.
Oh please, we got.
Oh man,
we don't. We'll have to catch you up to
I'm
speed
not
on this.
gonna read the passage, okay? But
Yeah.
here's the basic idea.
Oh no.
There's a I don't remember where it is. I don't know if it's in the hadiths or where.
I think it's a hadith.
But basically, the passage says that a bunch of men came into Muhammad's tent and started riding him, and that he was really sore because all the men had been riding him all night long.
This is literally the men of Al Zut.
What?
This is what it says in the hadith. The men of Al Zut rode the Prophet of Allah.
Oh.
And he was sore the next morning.
What's the Muslim apologist response? How do you
Their
respond to that?
approach is that he was crowded by the men of Al Zut and he was uncomfortable. He was crowded by them.
It doesn't save it doesn't save them, in my opinion. It's the same thing. You're just exchanging the word for man-on-man affairs with surrounded. Like,
wow.
The other attempt to try to do this is to get rid of it is to say that these were jinn.
Oh yeah.
But then a few streams ago, I looked up whether what tafsirs would say about jinn, and apparently jinn have the ability to have intercourse with humans, and they have genitalia, so that doesn't save them.
Yeah,
I understand. I'm wondering if that makes it worse because it's it's not just gay; it's also ghosts.
Oh no. Okay, yeah. Zootland.
I can't read this.
Can you read this, Brooks?
Why are atheists narratologically illiterate when it comes to the Bible, but can magically understand narratives in pop culture?
Oh,
That's
super
a good question.
Interesting question. I don't know. Like, in other words, what he's asking is why is it that these TikTok atheists can, find the context of any story, and we can look at some people in a particular narrative and be like, yeah, but they're not that bad. But then you look at the Bible, and you just can't look at the bigger picture. It's insane to me. You know what's a really good example of this is I saw a meme recently. What's that show called with that babe? What's that show called with that guy who's a killer stalker dude? You? Yeah. So long story short, there's this show about a guy who literally stalks women, dates them, and then kills them. And there's literally people online that are like, yeah, but he's not really that bad. He's just misunderstood because of the whole context of the story that they're in. It's the same people that are defending the serial killer are the people that are okay, but God's bad because bears.
Oh my goodness. So wait, we need to stop.
Okay.
For a
Do we
second.
need to go back to
No, just pause for a second. So we are up to $189. So
189.
We're getting to multiple.
Wait, is this since we announced the $50 check-in?
I'm doing all of it. I'm doing all of it since the beginning
you
of the
just want me
stream.
to be hurt. Okay.
We're
So
counting
far we
all of
got
those
3
super chats,
strips.
people. So yeah, how many strips is that? I'm done.
3 it's 3, right? 150, 100, 150 so far.
At least, yeah. So we got 3 strips. Thank you guys so much for your donations. Yeah, let's pull that last super chat up, and then we'll get back to doing some responses.
Whenever you hear the name Matt, forget the meme lord. Instead, think of me, the boxing champion, the true Matt.
The boxing champion.
Matt knows martial arts. You could fight him.
Yeah, I'll fight you.
Wow,
Dude,
that's very cool.
I like this. I like this new look, dude. I really like this new look.
You
Dude, that's
how,
nice. That's
Dude,
nice.
This looks so gross, dude. I look like I have scalp necrosis up here.
No, the rest though, once the whole thing goes to skin, it's gonna look so dope.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my laptop and just work outside and tan my scalp all day tomorrow.
The people want the wax.
He goes, "Why is Stan bald?" Are we gonna go back to responses?
Yeah, let's go back to the responses. Nice. And by the way, I'm not doing any currency exchange, so whenever I see a number, that's That's going.
Whoa!
That's how we're doing it.
Fine, whatever.
That's how we're doing it.
All right. You guys ready?
Yep.
Jesus can talk to God, God can talk to Jesus.
Yeah, I believe that the Father can speak to the Son can speak to the Spirit, and vice versa. They have an eternal fellowship and communion with each other.
So they can talk to each other.
Yeah.
Jesus is all-knowing.
Yep.
His Father is all-knowing.
Yep.
They can talk to each other.
Yes.
About what?
They just commune. They just
about what?
About their love and communion.
Yeah, about what?
Go ahead and pause it.
Anything.
I cannot hear what's going on in the video. I'm just letting you know.
It's just a lot of noise, but basically this is the interaction and this is the objection. So the Muslim gentleman is saying, God is all knowing, right? God the Father is all knowing, God the Son is all knowing, the Holy Spirit is all knowing, but they're all one. And he asked Chef oh my goodness, what is his name again? Dude.
God Logic?
Are you talking about God Logic?
Chef God Logic. He's asking
Avery.
Chef God Logic. Yeah, Avery. He's asking him how, what do they communicate to each other? And he's saying yes. And he's saying about what? If they're all knowing, what do they communicate about? So that's the objection.
Well, to me, I would just say this. This sounds completely obtuse. Let's go with this. I mean, to God Logic's point and to the Muslims' point, we can't fully understand all that they talk about, the infinite mind of God between, the Father and the Son. We don't fully know, but I would say there's an obtuseness here. The Muslim, why do they speak to God? God already knows what they're going to say. God already knows what they want. God is all knowing. Why would you speak at all? What's the point? And that's obtuse. Like there's a relationship. And so even if it's not a matter of knowledge, there's still, maybe you could say, an expression of will or goodness in human relationships or love. Maybe I could say to my fiance, she knows that I love her. So why do I have to say it? I'm going to sit back. You know I love you. I don't have to say I love you. No, I just don't think that's how a relationship works. That's not the dynamics. And to God Logic's point, there's a lot more nuance there.
Yeah,
Wait,
I mean, sorry, quick
go ahead,
question,
go ahead,
Ben.
Matt.
Does in the Quran does Allah have omniscience?
Did you ask me something?
Yes.
Wait, stop for I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
What?
I said in the Quran, does the Muslim God or does Allah have omniscience? Is he all knowing?
I don't know of any Quranic passages that say that he is. But
Yeah, I don't know.
Muslims presumably would say that he is, yeah.
Oh yeah, I've thought so, but I wasn't sure. But I mean, did you hear what the conversation was about? Do you need us to reiterate anything?
So I'm gonna try to understand. I'm gonna just take a guess. Tell me if I'm wrong. Something about Jesus prayed to the Father, but if the Trinity is true, like why did Jesus have to pray to the Father since they're all knowing? Since they're all knowing.
Well, it's basically it's an appeal to God's omniscience. If God is a triune being and he communicate in the Holy Spirit and the Father and the Son communicate to each other, why would they have to communicate to each other if they're omniscient? Like if they're all knowing.
To a passage or like
He's just saying what do they talk to each other about? He literally says, what do they talk about if they're all knowing? They already know what are they talking about.
I'm sorry, but man, this is a really silly question. Like what the heck? First of all, like not all communication happens in the same like oral way that we are doing it.
Yeah.
Second of all, like communication can be instantaneous in the sense that like you just know exactly what's going to happen, what somebody might be thinking. Like for instance, the other day, my wife, not the other day, like a while ago, I don't know if you remember this. My wife and I were driving and we saw, it was during a really like crazy windstorm. You know exactly where I'm going with this. And we saw a bird trying to fly against the wind, but it couldn't. It was just like stationary in place, like trying to push against the wind. And instantly, without saying a word, my wife and I knew exactly. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying my wife and I are like the Trinity, but all I'm trying to say is like that's a style of communication that could be had within the Trinity itself.
Yeah.
Because they omnisciently know what each member of the other member of the Trinity might be thinking, saying, or whatever, but just more in a direct acquaintance type way rather than like through prior knowledge of somebody like that. That's just one way of conceptualizing it. I mean, there's so many ways to think about this.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked Brooks' answer too. He said, "My fiance knows that I love her, so why should I tell her?" It's basically what he said, and I think that's a great point. It's like, just because you know something doesn't mean it doesn't need to be communicated again. I mean, by reinstating your love for somebody, that is, that is part of a healthy relationship, and it also adds to the enjoyment of the relationship.
Absolutely.
And, when I was in Bible college, that was one of the things we learned about the Trinity, is that the Trinity is a being of joy that enjoys himself, and is a community of joy that is basically the best way to describe that or understand it. So if the Trinity is three persons, they enjoy each other. But anyways, let's get to some other stuff here. That was a really quick one.
Are we bringing up the rest of the video?
No, that was it.
Oh, okay.
Let's get to another one.
It is really hard to hear. I'm so sorry.
If Jesus is also God, who was he praying to?
All right,
let's hear it.
Well,
No way, dude. Wait. Are we responding to McClellan?
Yes, we are.
Okay, let's see. Oh,
I haven't seen this.
That's Brooks. You're the star tonight. Go ahead.
I saw McClellan.
The Trinity is God
hear
the
it.
Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. Three persons, one God.
Before we get to the meat of this video, I just want to highlight the one catastrophic flaw inherent in any and all attempts to...
I'm calling it right now. Univocality.
Wait a minute. And I also need to say, too, Dan is not an atheist, okay? Not all the videos that we're addressing are atheists. Only most of them. But yes,
Read the
you think he's
Trinity
going to
into
address
the New
univocality? What do you think, Brooks? What do you think he's going to address?
I have no clue reason to go, honestly.
Okay, let's keep going.
And that catastrophic flaw is that the Trinity is a very specific philosophical framework that didn't exist.
Dan, can you do me a favor?
Wait, I need to throw something.
Go for it.
The only thing that's clear is my wife. Just kidding. Okay. Brooks, do you want to say anything there, or do you want to keep going? I could rant for a while. But I want you to say anything if you want to.
Well, I don't know what else is to the video. Is that the main point? We can just address it, or maybe he adds to that, or what?
Yeah, let's just keep going and tell us.
I was gonna say, can you put this on like speed and a half, like 1.5 or something? Because this is a little bit longer.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
When the New Testament was being written, it's not that it is just implied. It's not that they understood it, but they didn't have the terms to articulate what they were thinking of. It's that the concept didn't exist. And there's a very specific reason for that. Because the Trinity is a philosophical framework that holds that God exists as one being comprising three distinct persons. And you do not have any such concept being discussed anywhere during the period of the composition of the New Testament. And here's why. What you do have being discussed is three different persons who are united by the same agency or will. So you see that in Justin Martyr, for instance. You do have different persons being discussed as sharing the same essence or substance, but not in the sense of being the same being, in the sense of being the same type of being. So you have people talking about same essence or same substance when it comes to two different human beings who are the same essence or same substance in the sense that they're both made of the same type of stuff. So they're the same species, they're the same type of being, but they're not one single entity. You do not have ousia being used in a way that allows you to talk about one being comprising three different persons. That requires the distinction of the person from the being. And that doesn't happen until after the New Testament is completed. You have multiple persons and the same type of being, or you have one being who can manifest as different persons in different times, but only one at a time. And that's modalism. That's what was rejected by Orthodox Christianity. That is not the Trinity. But you have the word homoousios, consubstantial, same being used prior to Nicaea and being rejected precisely because you do not yet have the decoupling of person from being that allows you to multiply the persons and maintain one being. That's something that didn't happen when the New Testament was being written. And so if you want to try to read the Trinity into the New Testament, you're retrojecting much later developed philosophical frameworks into a period when they were not in circulation. And so the authors of the New Testament could not have been talking about that. If they had those concepts in mind, and there are no data that...
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah, so I was going to say, this is basically the gist of the video, where he just says that is she waxing now? What's going on?
Yeah, she's gonna get some wax. I'm just
okay. So before we address the video, update on the giving. Thank you guys so much for those of you who have given. We have a total of $224. So that is how many strips of wax?
That's 4.
4 strips of wax. They want the eyebrows off, man. They're coming for you.
Jacob Hansen texted me with a
No
picture,
way.
and he goes, "I opened up my X feed, and the first thing I see, and he sees me getting shaved." Okay.
Oh my goodness. So, all right. Let's just reiterate what Dan McClellan is saying here. He's saying that the early Christians or Bible writers did not have any of the philosophical understanding of what we would describe as the Trinity. Go for it. Either Brooks, why don't you go first, and then Dan can catch
You
up while
can
he's
go.
getting waxed.
By the way, guys, you can if you want a tank, you can
Yes,
if you want a
sir.
tank, we have the Jesus Destroy the Pagan Gods tank here. The rule is the waxing happens like on the hairy areas.
Yeah, he's gonna wax his hairy areas. Okay, Brooks, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd love to hear 10 thoughts, but maybe I'll give this as a general response. First of all, I think there's one big thing that I would like to push forward, and this matter of hypocrisy or, anyways, that's the basis of my claim. I think that this relies on a lot of things that he won't want to be committed to, a lot of critical biblical scholarship, and even a lot of his views. And maybe this view in this video in itself is later philosophical conundruming that scholars are coming up with later, that you could argue that they're reading that into the text. Bro, how hot is that?
I don't
It can't
know.
be
It's
that hot.
burning, dude. Ah!
Uh-oh. Bro, don't get a
Oh,
first
shoot.
degree burn.
Keep going,
I'm sorry,
Brooks.
Okay.
Brooks.
No, you're good. I mean, it's hard not to react to burn. Anyways, yeah, so I would push this claim forward that it's hypocritical and it relies on claims he wouldn't want to make. That critical biblical scholarship and even his own views that he puts forward relies on this because many of those concepts that are in critical biblical scholarship did not exist then. And then I would say this, I think the paradigm of the Christian worldview and the Bible allows for this development in a sense. There's biblical data of mysteries of revelation and progression of revelation, regardless of maybe you're Orthodox or I don't know what, if you're Catholic or whatever denomination, you can argue through that, or even as a Protestant, there's a development of these systems. And so the Council of Nicaea being an articulation or an explication of those things in the text, that's completely normal and it fits within the biblical framework. It's not a contradiction. We see that progressive or mysterious revelation being revealed later on. And the last thing I would say is like, let's say, even if this is the case, the point stands, there's obviously still an implicit understanding of the Trinity in the Bible. And so I think from that, we can argue that we're justified in believing in the Trinity just from the implicit, regardless of philosophical notions explicated at the Council of Nicaea. Okay, Dan, you
this
got
is
any
what I
thoughts?
want to do. This is what I want to do. First of all,
I didn't
Rachel,
hear
are
any
you?
of that 'cause I got so distracted.
I
That's
thought it was
okay.
good what you had to say, Brooks. But
Thanks.
Rachel, real quick question: are you gonna leave the wax and then pull, or like what are you gonna do?
She'll pull on your command.
I was about to say I would love to have you answer the questions while she's pulling.
Bro, that's perfect. That's
I
actually
want to
perfect.
see you answer this while
Yeah,
she's
okay.
pulling them off.
You
So,
hear
do you need a
that?
little bit more time, Rachel? What do you need?
It's not ready yet.
Okay.
Man, the
Are they
camera's not
sticky?
really grabbing. I guess you guys can kind of see how hairy I am, but like it's not really capturing how hairy I am.
No, you're hairy beast.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, so again, Brooks, I didn't actually hear anything you said.
You could reiterate if we
but
have the same thing.
So Dan says, that hurt more than I thought it would.
Dan says, "Ah!" Oh, that was amazing.
Get that off.
Oh
Dude,
my goodness.
smooth I am.
This is beautiful.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, so Dan says that the concept doesn't exist.
Bleeding.
Am I bleeding? Dude.
Yo.
That's good. That's a solid.
Wait, I
That's a
guess
solid.
no, you can't see the blood.
It's so smooth.
It's whatever. So yeah, Dan says like, okay, so the concept doesn't exist at all whatsoever. Brooks, if I'm just repeating anything you said, tell me to stop. But so basically, Dan says the concept doesn't exist until like the Nicene philosophical framework. Here's the problem: Dan is conflating the philosophical framework and the metaphysical modeling of the Trinity with the conception of a multi-headed God to begin with. So for instance, I might have the conception of morality, right? As a child, like I'm raising children and they know basically, right? They perceive that there is right and wrong, all this other kind of stuff, right? But do you think my kids have like a meta-ethical framework and a normative framework that they abide by? No.
No.
Right? In the same way, you can have a concept of a multi-personal being that is grounding of all reality in the King of Kings amongst the divine council, all that stuff, without having a philosophical model.
Right.
That makes sense. So Dan's like yes, the Trinity in its metaphysical sense, the modeling out is a product of Nicene philosophical like thinking. But so what? Like what?
Yeah.
Nothing. Like the conclusion that Dan wants to follow here. His rhetorical goals are not going to be met by. Pause for a second. My wife is asking if we need to put this back in.
What do you mean?
Really, the
like warm up the wax.
The wax thing.
Warm it back up or no? That's what she's asking.
Like as far as how much money do we have?
Are we warming the wax back up? I don't know what's happening.
I was hoping for bigger wax strips, to be honest, but
just one big one across the chest.
We're at
one.
Let's do a heart.
Let's so we're at $233 and we're at $233.01. Thank you guys so much for giving. For those of you who are just here, for every $50 we receive in super chats, Dan gets a piece of a big wax strip put on him. And
we'll do my wife said we can do one on the chest next. Wait, we're at 200. That means we're already at another one. So yeah, she's warming it up as we speak.
Sweet.
But yeah, does it make sense? Like,
yeah, I mean,
really falls out of that.
Brooks basically said he's kind of being hypocritical here because a lot of the frameworks that he uses for his scholarship were later developments anyway. So why would he, bash? Is that what you're saying, Brooks?
His
that's what I was saying. Yeah,
his name bearing model and that he always likes to poke at later development. Go ahead, because he uses cognitive science of religion to justify these things.
He said,
wait, that looks.
It's not that bad.
Dan said that it's like, but they weren't discovering something that they already believed in the Council of Nicaea. It's like, I don't know how he's coming to that conclusion. Like, how are you coming to the conclusion that,
oh my God,
that they weren't discovering that what was already there? Dan, try and focus, bro. Lock in, bro.
I am trying. Okay. Can you get this off my phone,
bro?
Dude, that is a big patch.
I wonder if the chest will hurt more.
That is gonna really suck.
What was I gonna? Where else was I gonna go? Oh,
so I was saying, like how does he come? How is he coming to that conclusion that the Council of Nicaea wasn't, or I mean, whatever philosophical framework was later developed? How is he coming to that conclusion that it wasn't something that was brought out of what was already there? Like, how is he coming to that conclusion?
Exactly. There's also another really interesting thing. I bring this up because they're talking about the baptism of Jesus too at some point, didn't they? I bring this up in my upcoming video that we're going to be posting here at IP. So I'm not going to dig too much into the detail here, but one of the things I argue for in this upcoming video on Christology is that in Mark 1:9-11, when we look at Jesus' baptism and you see the composite allusion of Psalm 2:7 and Isaiah 42:1, it's actually the early Christians most likely read this in a prosopological exegesis way. That's a fancy way of saying they're actually exegeting the text by trying to figure out who's speaking and when in these passages. And the basic idea is that when you read this passage of the composite allusion with Jesus' baptism, it's God the Father speaking to Jesus as God the Son, and you actually see two people speaking in that instance of what's happening. So like, this is not a new thing. It's not an invention. Again, I'll have another upcoming video actually pointing out like pre-Nicene you can come do it if you really want to. Go ahead. Is it ready? Yeah. So anyway.
Ready?
Oh,
All right, here we go. Hard, fully hard.
Gotta get a nice.
Oh gosh, I can.
Oh shoot, dude!
Bro.
I felt that.
Oh, you can see it's so smooth.
Touch it.
Oh man!
It's really nice.
Wow. No,
Should
I
we
don't
sell
want to see
this?
that. I don't
Should
want
we
to see that.
sell
bro.
this?
No. I do not want to see that.
This is what's the thing? People are making fun. People are joking around because there's that like Dr. Squatch is selling that bathwater thingy. New OnlyFans content.
Let's not talk about Sydney Sweetie's bathwater. Let's just not do that.
Is that who it is?
Yeah.
All right.
Wait. Wasn't there a like an Old Testament understanding or like a Jewish understanding of a triune being?
Yes. Well, they didn't like explicitly call it triune, but that's just because they didn't have the conceptual like metaphysical framework again that they had. But when you look at the biblical text, you see all over the place that this weird blurring of the lines between multiple figures that are all called Yahweh, right? Like you have the passages that say, "The Lord said to my Lord, I will seat you on the right hand of glory."
Mm-hmm.
And they're both Lord. They're both God. You also have passages where it says Yahweh rained down fire from Yahweh. Two Yahweh figures. They're both Yahweh, though. How does that work out?
Is that the two powers in heaven motif?
Yeah, that's talking about powers in heaven motif. And you actually see this applied to even the Holy Spirit in the Old Testament as well. So I think I forget where it is in the Old Testament, but the basic idea is like you have Joseph before Pharaoh, and Joseph is interpreting dreams and all this other stuff, and Pharaoh's like, "Okay, interpret my dreams," and then Joseph says like, "I can't do it, but God can." And the context to this that's important is, well, we're told that it's by the Holy Spirit, the Ruach Elohim, that Joseph is able to interpret the dreams. So in one passage we have, it's the Holy Spirit that's enabling Joseph to interpret dreams. And then in another passage, Joseph is saying, "I can't do it, but God can." So why are we attributing the ability to interpret dreams to the Holy Spirit if the Holy Spirit is not God, but then also saying God is the only one that gives Joseph the ability to do it if the Holy Spirit is not included in the members of the Trinity, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that's good. Let's do one more. Click on the one with the girl that says Christians evangelize me. Let's do that one. And since we're done with the I don't know if we're completely done with the waxing. But let's bring the screens back to normal.
My wife has just said she's going to leave it here so that way she can go to bed and I'll wax myself.
Okay.
If you're a Christian, I want
go for it.
Okay.
If you're a Christian, I want you to tell me why I should believe in your religion and in your God and in Jesus Christ in about 30 seconds. I'm an atheist. Hypothetically. Practice evangelism. Let's go.
Oh.
Yep, that's it. So which one of you guys wants to go first?
Go ahead, Brooks.
Great. Well, I'll answer as an apologist. I think I can give a gospel preacher answer, but I'll answer as an apologist.
I am going to time you. I'm going to time you.
Uh-oh. Okay. Let me
30 seconds.
Let me rethink how I'm going to do this. Okay.
She said 30 seconds. So let's
right.
see if you guys can do it. Let me know when you're ready and I'll start the timer.
Okay. Let me do this in 30 seconds. Can I speak fast or should I speak like intelligently and slowly?
Like Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro. I can do Ben
if you
Shapiro.
can do a Ben Shapiro, go for it. You ready?
Okay, I think I'm ready.
All right, and go.
When we look at the world, I want you to just look at the world and the features of the world. We need to explain this. And I would say there are features of the world and our history that need to be explained. And I would say that Christianity best explains that. When we look at things like beauty and morality and contingency and fine tuning and religious experience and miracles connecting to Christ. I think Christ, out of anyone in history, is the best person to, if God existed, for him to raise him from the dead. He was a moral revolutionary. He claimed to be God. His message was widespread. And we see that the historical evidence points to that he was resurrected. That's the best that's the best explanation. And then we see later modern miracles in his name confirms that. Okay, that's mine.
Awesome. I love that.
That was
I
good.
love that.
Answer.
All right, you ready, Thanos?
Yeah.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, so I think there are a few good reasons to be a Christian over any other religion. One being that I think monotheism in general is going to be the best explanation of reality. You can't have multiple perfect beings, otherwise they would all just be identical to each other, so you can only have one. From there, I think the type of reality that I think you would expect to see if a perfect being exists is actually matching the type of reality we live in. And that includes something really interesting about the Christian worldview. The fact is that a perfect being, I think, would also become incarnate and defeat death and suffering for us, rise from the dead to vindicate his incarnation.
Time.
Ooh.
Whoa. Dude, I'm actually surprised. I didn't think you were going to be able to do that.
Why?
That was
Because I
amazing.
yap?
That's literally what I told Brooks when I sent him this video. No, you sent me this video, right?
Yeah, I did.
Brooks sent me this video and I was like, bro, Than's not going to be able to do this. There's no way.
You did it. Good work.
You did it, bro. Awesome.
I got distracted. I slowed down a little bit because I saw you counting down and I was like, oh.
I wanted to put extra pressure on you and you locked in. It was awesome. All right, so let's get to some super chats here.
Okay. Where are we? Okay. What was the last one we did?
I believe
this one, right?
it was. Yeah, that one, yeah.
Okay. Narrated Ibn Kachal from Sahih McQueen. Muhammad is like a highway. I'll zoom all night long.
Oh my god. I'll soon gonna ride him all night.
The thing is,
long.
like, I know somebody's gonna take inspiration from this and have AI like render a song out of it now.
This is horrible. Oh my goodness.
That's funny.
Dude, oh my gosh. That's I'm sorry.
I wish Mike would have been here for that one.
I know. Good grief.
Hey Brooks, we love you. I'll get on your Patreon soon, but I'm sending love.
Nice.
Heck yeah. Go support him.
God bless.
Happy anniversary. Give it there.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, dude. I honestly forgot that it's the 9th today. That's my wife and I's 8th anniversary tomorrow. So
Ooh,
It's a good gift.
yeah, this dude, do you see how pink this is?
Yeah, that is raw.
That's crazy.
That is very raw. Let's get
Oh,
to
man.
some more.
Yeah. Fandrew Tate. Man, I wish I had my
Fandrew Tate.
sunglasses.
Do you have those? Do you have any like dark shades?
I do, but I don't know where they are.
Yeah, let's just keep going with super chats so we don't so the stream isn't just you
Yeah.
walking around.
Wax that dome.
Dude. I can't say that word. Yeah, we only have a couple more.
I'm moving along. I'm just
Okay.
also feeling my head. Sorry. The fact that a huge nerd like Than can pull a smoking alt chick like his wife, it's all the proof you need.
Dude.
Man, okay, here's the thing. Just for context, my dating profile when my wife and I met, I was in I cheat codes, man. Like I was in my SWAT uniform, my turnout gear because I was a firefighter. Like, sorry, man. I was using cheat codes. Yeah, and then I'm a dork. Yeah. But she also likes the dorkiness, I think. Maybe. Who knows? How much for a piece of cancer?
Broken. You gotta chill, bro. This is exactly what Than wanted. He wanted you guys to auction for his hair, so please don't.
Don't I honestly,
give in.
I wouldn't oblige you there.
Oh my goodness.
A cup of coffee from my guy, Theus Brooks. Thank you for guiding me back to God. Nice, man. Heck yeah.
Nice.
Go to
Brooks,
God.
I'll Venmo you $5 for that, okay?
I was about to say, we'll send that to you, bro.
Cool.
Wrong. Flareon and Duat.
Duat? I don't even know what that is. What is a Duat?
What is that? Oh, is that Pokemon?
Yeah.
It's a Pokemon here.
Can you bring that on screen? Duat.
Yeah. He's pretty cool, but it's
Oh,
like
that
look,
guy,
man,
yeah.
If you're gonna go water like starter Pokemon,
Yeah.
Totodile.
Yo.
Man. Totodile.
No,
is
I
way
like
better.
this guy because his third evolution is It's like bug and water, right? Oh, dude, Super Saiyan do what? All right, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving.
I'm a bit late, but glad to see two of some of my favorite Christian creators doing a collab. God bless.
All right, thank you. He's talking about me and Than, by the way.
This goes to waxing eyebrow only. Eyebrows are
one
not
eyebrow,
happening,
dude. Imagine giving $199 and expecting somebody to wax their whole eyebrow off. I mean, I'm not all about that money, but like, come on, dude.
No, eyebrows are worth a little bit more than that.
Yeah, that's woof.
Not gonna lie, you look good with a shaved head. Thanks, man.
I agree.
Yes,
I agree.
I was gonna say you're rocking it.
I'm a little surprised. I'm not gonna lie.
Does your head feel cold?
What?
Does your head feel a little cold, or any breeze, or anything?
No, not really. It feels fine.
Oh,
the only
dude.
thing that sucks is like I'm at the way peak end of my bulk right now, so like I feel like I look fat with the bald head. So once I lean out a little bit more towards the end of the summer, hopefully it'll look better. Maybe I'll keep it going.
You need the Sunni. Come on, Beard Brothers. Let's go.
Allah claims to be all-powerful in numerous places. However, in the Quran, not only features numerous anachronisms, but also is rife with internal contradictions. Therefore, logically, Allah is lying. You see?
Ooh.
Powerful. That's what Mike likes to say. Now I have to change my PFP to be bald.
Fanakin Bald Walker.
Bald Walker. Dude, do you see that in the Discord? People are making pictures of me looking like Matt Dillahunty.
Oh no!
What?
Dude, they've been going nuts in that OnlyFans channel. They've been going absolutely nuts.
Seriously, you guys, we're not going to be able to control people once.
Yeah, once it goes public. Roken wants the eyebrows off too.
Man, I'm not going to wax my eyebrows.
Okay, question for Brooks. Sorry, Dan. Question for Brooks. What? So I know at one point you had the mustache and you had the handlebar, right? Didn't you have like the handlebar thing going on?
A little bit.
So people are always commenting on men's facial hair. It's just what we do. What has been your most reacted to facial hair structure? Has it been the full baby face, the handlebar, the full beard? What's been a fan favorite?
I don't know what the fan favorite is. I get a lot of negative reactions and positive to full beard and mustache. The fan favorite's probably nothing, I would guess, but some people think I look older maybe with a beard or something. I don't know. But my fiance
this
likes
stash that you have right now is my favorite. This is my favorite. Like, it's perfect width, perfect length. It's a good combo, dude. Yeah, it's powerful.
Thanks, dude. Thanks.
It's a powerful stash.
I like it a lot too.
I can get a thick stash like Than's, but I look really weird. I don't like the way I look. I have to shave it and do the Muslim thin. No, I have to do the Muslim thin stash, and I have to do that. All right, let's. I think we got like a couple more.
Yep. All right. Don't really have a question. This is just a spontaneous gratitude for all of you and your contributions to the church. Thank you, Devante.
Thank you.
And look at my text. I did. I texted you back. Lose the stash. The 70s called. The 70s called. They want it back. Was that sus former rapper?
Is that IP? That's IP in there. Sus former rapper.
Oh man,
this is hilarious, dude.
I'm not losing the stash, man.
I think we have one more super chat.
Yep. What's a good book for understanding philosophy beyond surface level stuff? Man, I mean,
you know what? Sorry. I'm going to shout out Tim. Tim Howard actually has a program. I believe he just renamed it Worldview Mastery. So if you look up Worldview Mastery, which used to be Doxastic Mastery, he's building a course that is pretty high level, and he has a ton of resources that he's given out. We're going to be hopefully one day integrating some of that coursework into the server actually, and possibly the website. A lot of people have actually been asking for more resources on the website. So go to inspiringphilosophy.com, look at recommended reading. There's a ton of recommended reading there. And then we're going to introduce slowly all of Than's scripts for his videos, and all of Mike's scripts for his videos, and also Than's. And also we're going to introduce a lot of the slides that you see on the live streams. They're all going to be available for free on the website very soon. So be on the lookout for that. Sorry, did you have anything you wanted to recommend, Dan or Brooks?
No, honestly, I was gonna actually point out Tim, and eventually, like, man, I would love to be able to do like some stuff regularly, like putting out courses and stuff like that, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, I mean, for understanding basics like philosophy beyond surface level stuff too, like book wise, it depends on what you want to dig into, man. Like philosophy is such a broad general category. It's hard to know where to point you to. So
I would say go to Tim's stuff, go to their stuff. But from my own experience, and this has been very helpful, a lot of people hate on William Lane Craig. I think he's misunderstood in a lot of ways, but I also disagree with a lot of things. I think his book with J.P. Moreland, The Philosophical Foundations for a Christian Worldview, is incredible. He dives beyond a surface level understanding so much. He goes so much into metaethics, into whatever epistemology. He dives into all of that. And also, besides Christian philosophy, I recommend the Philosopher's Toolkit. I read both of those early on in my journey, and they were immensely helpful in me grasping philosophy.
Yeah.
I was gonna say too, like for me personally, I'm not the most philosophically minded person. But something that helped me to kind of like do my best to keep up with Dan and IP. And Dan will probably hate this, but I reading the Summa of the Summa, which is Thomas Aquinas's works.
Why would I hate
it just well, I mean, I don't want to get into that, but like reading those books helped me like think more in a philosophical sense and analyze in a more philosophical sense. And I think it was a good bedrock for me personally. Like I said, I'm not the smartest in this stream.
Matt is a lot smarter than he gives himself credit for. He hangs out with Mike and I on a normal basis. So much so that he'll actually text me random things to just trigger me into giving him like a long 5-10 minute rant. And he keeps up. So don't let him pretend to be humble.
That's all I like. I just want to be able to keep up and understand. I don't know how to make arguments. I just want to be able to understand what people are saying. And so that's been fun. But Dan, did you get my text just there?
Mm-hmm. You ready for it?
Yeah, let's do that next, and then we'll cover some other stuff. Okay, so this is an image that I found on TikTok. It was one of those swiping things, and if you can't see it, I'll read it. Basically, she's saying the Bible wasn't written by God. It was ghost written by power-hungry men who said, God told me to, quote, quote, like every other cult leader ever. And people still try to push it and treat it like divine law instead of the ancient propaganda it really is. So what do you guys think about this one?
Brooks, what do you got?
Go ahead, Dan.
Me? Okay. So I'll just take it little by little. The Bible wasn't written by God. I agree.
True.
Many Christians that are not fundamentalists will also agree. It was ghost written by power-hungry men. Depending on what you think by the word ghostwriting to mean and what you take inspiration to mean, maybe power hungry. Were some of these men and editors and compilers of the biblical canon power hungry? Probably. Does being power hungry mean that what you're writing is false? No. Just think about that for a second. If what somebody's writing is true or false is affected by their character, then what are you going to trust at all? Presumably, whatever you're reading, in some way, shape, or form, there's going to be some sort of character flaw in the in the place you're getting the information from. So when Christians are like thinking about inspiration to scripture and all this other stuff, like we don't think God literally wrote the Bible. We're not Muslims, and we don't think that God threw down like golden tablets or the Quran from the sky to anybody. Like Christians think God either supervised or superintended the writing and editing of the texts. And that's about really all that there is to it. So to say that these people said God told me to do it, like every other cult leader, I mean, it's not like every other cult leader, because God was actually involved in these texts. To try to push it and treat it like divine law instead of ancient propaganda, it really is. I will agree with her in one sense. The people that try to push all of the Bible as if it's like all just a big divine law, yeah, they're wrong, but not because the Bible's wrong. It's just that their use of the scriptures is faulty, not the scriptures themselves being predicated on like a faulty idea.
I mean, I like and Dr. David Falk, he said, like, the Book of Abraham and the writings of Joseph Smith, those are channeling. Those their claims are that God or some type of spirit spoke through them, and that Joseph Smith actually used a medium or some type of foci to write the Book of Abraham. That's what they believe. We don't believe that. We believe in divine inspiration. We believe that God inspired the writers in some way, shape, or form. And so it's not like, this is a really, really poor misconception of what people, Christians believe as far as the writing of the scriptures. What do you think, Brooks?
Yeah, no, I think what you guys said is very good. I would just add maybe a very concise addition, address the power hungry part, and I think it addresses the rest. And that is, I think the gospel writers were not power hungry at all. They were in a very hostile environment. And so I think, and they risked their lives and suffering. And so I think they're the opposite of power hungry. And then I would connect that to that gives leeway and headway to gospel reliability, and then headway to therefore the resurrection, and then headway therefore to the Bible through the statements of Jesus.
Do you guys think that the Bible is ancient propaganda? What do you think about that statement?
I mean, yeah, I think there are places in this Bible that could be qualified as propaganda.
I'm flabbergasted.
I don't know.
It doesn't mean anything though at the end of the day, right? Like so who's the Bible Project guy? Tim Mackey. He had a really good analogy for this. So he brings up the fact that, like, one of the things that can cause us incongruence or like some sort of internal turmoil or something like that when it comes to the Bible is our expectations of the Bible itself when we come to it. So if we have bad expectations or like not realistic expectations of what the Bible should be as we're coming to it, and it doesn't meet those expectations, then yes, it's going to let you down and you're going to think it's not true. Analogously, I didn't watch the new Star Wars movies, but the basic idea is he like points out the fact that, like, I think one of the people in the Star Wars movie was like, hey, you're gonna meet this really amazing Jedi master, right? And the person that was supposed to go get trained was expecting like some old, wise, maybe buff, macho Jedi master dude, right? And he comes and finds Baby Yoda. His expectations are completely subverted, and he's like, what the heck? Clearly that guy was wrong, and I'm not going to be trained by a Jedi master. And in the same way, if you come to the Bible with expectations that it's a rule book for everything that you're going to, like, how you're going to live your life, and it's supposed to not have any sort of ancient or Eastern humanistic like phenomena in it or anything like that, then you're going to be let down. But if you look at it like what it actually claims to be and what the early Israelites and early Christians thought it was, which is like an interdependent piece of literature that talks about the meta narrative of humanity and how God has interacted with a particular people group. With that in mind, you're going to expect to find propaganda in it. Like, you're going to expect to find weird stuff in it.
Like, well, I mean, isn't certain parts of Revelation propaganda, like political propaganda?
You could definitely say that.
Sorry, go ahead, Brooks.
No, I was just curious. I don't know what the author or you guys mean by propaganda. I guess that would determine my answer.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
I
like,
don't understand what it means.
I mean, so like, I think there's a type of propaganda in the book of Jonah, for instance. Like, really just think about this for a moment, right? Like, Jonah, the person that's supposed to be a prophet of God, who's supposed to be holy and righteous and all this other stuff, is the one that's not obeying. But then you get go ahead.
Sorry, propaganda meaning just like Jonah it's like unjustified or biased messaging in favor. Is it something like that? Or I'm trying to understand what you mean by
I don't really know what I don't know how to actually really define propaganda.
Maybe Matt has a definition.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking it up, and it's basically information that's biased or meant to mislead. Like, I know that memes can be propaganda, for example. Like, there's some people who, are more right-leaning or more left-leaning that, like, for instance, right now in the meme culture, there's a huge push for anti-Semitic memes, just making fun of Jewish people. And I would say that it's propaganda, like, and people have learned to utilize making memes in a sense of like, well, if you like this, then you see more on the algorithm of these types of memes. And so I would say that that's like an effective form of propaganda, is
Yeah.
creating memes and a
Okay.
narrative that is convincing to bias you in a certain, you know, way, shape,
Yeah.
or form. So I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you can go with it.
Yeah.
But I think the way that she's
Propaganda.
meaning it, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say propaganda in my head just doesn't necessarily mean inherently bad, like misleading or anything like that. Like I
Okay.
think you can have theoretically good propaganda, right?
J Mike, what up, bro?
You in there? I love J Mike.
Yo.
Than Sans hair.
Yeah.
So like if you mean propaganda and strictly only the way that's like misleading,
Or
biased,
deceptive.
dishonest, stuff like that, then I
Okay.
don't think that's in scripture.
Okay, then I probably agree with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you could take that a number of different ways, in my opinion. That's weird. I think it's a weird claim to begin with. Like, it's ancient propaganda. Okay, ancient propaganda for what?
I'm just gonna throw this out there. This is a TikToker. And I don't know who this lady is. She seems very nice, right? But TikToker. And we live in a political climate where people just use the word propaganda all over the place and it's lost its meaning, right?
That's true.
So I don't know. The prior probability that this creator has thought very clearly about what the word propaganda really means
No
and
way.
qualifies with it.
Zero.
Really low.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's some like maybe conspiracy theorists that would say the Bible was propaganda in the sense that it was, you know, Constantine using Christianity, to convert the country, you know, and stuff like that. Whereas, I mean, maybe, you know, I think the Bible is propaganda in the sense that it is pushing Christianity. Sure, like I run a Christian meme page, memes for Jesus. I will gladly admit that I am a propaganda page for Christianity. I want people to become Christian. You know, I want to show Christianity in a positive, humorous light. There's not necessarily that. I mean, there can be a bad connotation with that in some people's mind, but I don't know. I don't see it necessarily as a bad thing at all times.
That's fair. I guess I would just say that at a certain point, then it becomes trivial. If propaganda, you just mean bias, then everyone would be a propagandist, and so it's trivial.
Exactly.
Sure, yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. Is like it's a TikToker. They're probably just using the word propaganda.
Yeah. We're probably getting too deep into
somebody
it.
that
Sorry.
disagrees with me and they're arguing for something.
Fan Dillahunty in the house.
Yeah. Man. All right, Matt, is that it?
I think that's about it. Brooks, why don't you take a couple moments just to tell people how they can support you, where they can find you, anything.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, don't worry about supporting me unless you really, really want to. I do this. It's my most meaningful thing I do. But I would just say a few things. I'm on TikTok. I'm a TikToker. That's probably why they brought me on to respond to these TikToks, because I respond to them all the time. So you can check out that if you want to learn more. I also post on Instagram. It's pretty similar content. And then also, new venture I'm starting is with Turning Point Faith. And I do live streams weekly with them. And I'm glad I did another live stream with you guys. Hopefully we can do another one in the future. I'd love that. Anyways, I was just saying, I'm honored. If you want to check me out, come over, but support them too.
Awesome, man. Hey, man, we love you, and we love everything you do.
Heck yeah, man. Cosmic, she's confused song propaganda with agenda.
Song propaganda and agenda. Oh, great. Now we're going to get... I don't want to get into this.
Propaganda, messaging to persuade, using extreme either good or bad narratives. Rosie the Riveter versus Nazi posters. Yeah. I mean,
pushing the narrative.
That's the point I was trying to get at with like the Jonah narrative. Again,
gotcha.
Like the holy prophet, he's the one that is actually being disobedient, while the pagan nation, it's the king who responds right away, even all the way up to the cows who are repenting. You know what I'm saying? Like it's clearly like by this definition, propaganda.
Yeah, and I would imagine that some people would say the Bible is some type of conspiratorial propaganda rather than an actual historical documentation.
It's
like
made
they're trying
by
to
white men trying to control all the women.
They're trying to like delegitimize the Bible by saying it's just ancient propaganda, bro. But for those of you who are interested, Michael Jones made a ton of videos for the historical reliability of the Gospels. I wish I could say more about Than's involvement with that, but I can't. I will also say that there's a video that is 6 hours long that just covers so many angles of the historical reliability of the Gospels. Highly recommend checking that out. It's broken up into chapters, so you can take a little bit at a time. And guess what, guys? Your support enables us to do things like that. Your support enables us to shave Than's head bald. Thank you so much. We cannot say thank you enough for the support that you guys have shown towards this channel. We really have a lot of amazing things planned that I can't get into quite yet because it's just so amazing that we don't want to spoil it. But if you support us, it's going towards a good cause. It's going towards helping spread the gospel. So it's going towards bringing Than on board, and it's also going towards just bringing more awareness to the reliability of the Bible and Christianity and the legitimacy of Christianity. Thank you guys so much. Any last words you guys want to say before we sign out?
Yeah, I would say to that support notion, I do have a job. That's why I'm wearing this suit. And so I would say if you're a supporter of mine, I really mean this, inspiring philosophy. I have a huge debt to it in my journey. If you want to support me, do support them first. And I mean that sincerely. If you're a supporter of
Wow,
mine,
bro.
support them first before me.
That just
You're the
makes me
best.
want to support you more.
Yeah. Sorry, gonna support you personally now.
No, do it. Don't do it.
All right. See
It
you
was an
guys.
honor.
Thank you so much for tuning in.
Bye-bye.
God bless.
You made it to the end of this video, which means this message matters to you. If you want to see more content like this reaching people for Christ, you can help make it happen. Your support makes these videos possible. Click the link below and donate today. And if you want to go even deeper, consider joining our Patreon community. You'll get early access to videos, behind-the-scenes content, and a place to connect with others passionate about this mission.